A lot of people are talking about Carney's speech at Davos and how great it was, and it was a great speech. Uh, he said things in there that needed to be said. He said things in there that a lot of people were a little shocked by and stood back and went, wow, somebody is actually saying this. It was kind of a highbrow speech. It aimed at people who were well versed, literate, well knowledged. So definitely not people like Trump. But it still offended Trump. And I'm sorry to say that Trump needs to be offended. Trump is a fascist, a callous, horrible human being, and he needs to be removed from office. The fact that he hasn't already been removed from office, the fact that he wasn't removed from office during his first term, shows just how appallingly bad we've become as a species. Human beings just don't get it. We could accomplish so much, we could do so much better, but we refuse. Steadfastly refuse. Everybody who voted for Trump voted against their own self-interest, with the small exception of the billionaires who are backing him. They're the only ones who've really gained. Everybody else has lost. Everybody. Absolutely everybody else has lost. Not only in the United States, but outside of the United States in the countries that have been threatened, bullied, and tariffed. So Carney made his speech. He basically broke with the United States by making that speech. Now, things in the United States might get better in the future. You can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long it's going to take before the pendulum swings back into sanity instead of just remaining in insanity. But at some point, things will change again. Time only moves in one direction. What I want to talk about isn't the Davos speech or the relations with the United States. I want to talk about something that should be incredibly important to my fellow Canadians, but for a lot of them isn't. I want to talk about Carney's policies. He said in his speech that nostalgia is not a strategy. Very true. But Carney's own internal policies are nostalgia. He's doing the same thing again and again. He's not going to increase taxes on the wealthy, which is what needs to happen. He's operating domestically in the past. He's operating domestically as a conservative, doing all the wrong things again. Canada has millions of people living in poverty, millions, including over 2 million seniors living in poverty. People who their whole lives invested in Canada and now can't even buy food. There's something seriously wrong with that picture. So let's stop saying Carney's great, because yes, his speech was great, but his policies tell a very different story. Where is taxing the super wealthy to pay for a basic income program for all Canadians so that no one's living in poverty? We could end poverty this year just by properly taxing the super wealthy. There are 130 billionaires in Canada. The top 10 Canadian billionaires by themselves have over $600 billion. That's more than enough to lift everybody in Canada out of poverty. That's more than enough to ensure that we properly fund our healthcare systems and get mental health on the list. But we don't do it. And why don't we do it? We don't do it because nostalgia is a strategy domestically. We're doing the same thing this year as last year and the year before that, and back when Harper was in. Yes, that's right. It's the exact same policies. Let wealth inequality grow. Allow more and more people to slide down into poverty. Eradicate the middle class and make Canada a two-tier system of the wealthy and the poor. Same old, same old. That is Carney's domestic policy. So let's stop cheering Carney on. Yes, his speech at Davos was great. And his efforts on the foreign stage are not going to go unnoticed. But let's not forget that he is abandoning Canadians, and he's doing it for the sake of capitalists. Time to turn things around. Carney, apply your own speech to your own domestic policies. Stop being nostalgic and governing that way, and bring in sweeping improvements that will lift people out of poverty and make our tax system work for the majority of Canadians instead of just the top 1%.